Well, as the world anxiously waits for that verdict in the Rittenhouse trial, a small crowd gathered outside the Kenosha County Courthouse. Things calm so far out there. That's where NewsNation correspondent Brian Enton is live for us. Brian, you're joined there by the family spokesperson.
Yeah, he's going to talk with us in just a minute, Nichole. But first of all, I want to talk about that crowd you mentioned. It is a small crowd. It's actually less people than what we saw yesterday. I would say maybe 30, 40 protesters tops outside the courthouse. Of course, it's very, very cold here in Wisconsin today, which could have something to do with that. I want to bring in Dave Hancock. This is the Kyle Rittenhouse family spokesperson. Come a little closer to me.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you for joining us, sir. We're now going into day 4. Tomorrow will be of deliberations. Can you tell us what that means to you, that this is now going to take 4 days, and how Kyle's family is interpreting that?
Yeah, so Kyle and his family are doing well. They're staying strong. As for the jury at this point, I would suggest that they're taking care in their decision right now. I mean, this is a major, major decision. So they're staying strong. I'm not reading into it, and nobody's reading into how long it's taking. And I'm grateful that they're taking their time in this.
Is Kyle's mom inside the courthouse throughout all of this? Just waiting out? Can you talk about that? Is she outside the courtroom?
She is in the break room. So everybody is waiting for this verdict to come in. Things have changed, okay? We've recently learned that the prosecution has withheld evidence. They doctored evidence. They prevented the defense from having the same high-definition video footage that they then used to frame the narrative, which is a different narrative from the start of this
What do you
case.
think? I mean, do you think doctored is an exaggeration?
No.
Though? I mean, because it was the same video, there's just a question, was the quality? It doesn't seem like it was that big of a difference.
It was a very big difference, huge difference, a quarter as clear. You can't see anything in the version provided to the defense. How can anybody think that their due process rights are being protected when they're provided a substantially less clear video? And then the prosecution goes into court and they frame a new scenario by saying that Kyle somehow provoked. That never happened. So that is the problem that we see. That is a huge problem.
Let me ask you this, Dave. The protest group is small behind us for the most part,
Yeah.
but they're loud today. They've got a bullhorn. I talked to our producer who was inside the courthouse, right outside the courtroom, and she could clearly hear them today.
Sure.
And is that a concern, do you think, regardless of what side of the issue you are on this, that these jurors may be hearing these people outside?
I'm sure it is somewhat of a concern, but I mean, people have a right to voice their frustrations, right? To an extent, just so long as it doesn't turn violent. The facts are, this is not a political case, and this is not a case about racism, and it never has been. There were so many different, I'd say, factors last year with a upcoming presidential election and just so much vitriolic stuff that is completely untrue that we've learned this week has been untrue. So,
Do you think it's been hijacked on both sides?
of course.
I mean, it seems like that being out here. When you talk to people, a lot of them aren't talking about the victims or Kyle, talking about all sorts of other issues.
Of course, this is a human issue. This is a 17, now 18-year-old young man who went down there to protect himself, but he wanted to help people. That's why he was carrying a fire extinguisher. That's exactly why he ran down to that fire down in that Duramax or in that location. That's why he did it. He didn't go down there to provoke anybody, and he would not have had that weapon if it wasn't legal for him to have that weapon to defend himself.
Thank you for
Period.
taking the time. We got it. Nichole, I hear you have a question for him.
Yeah, Brian, do you mind asking Dave, obviously there was a pretty unusual move today, a cable news network being banned from the courtroom. Has he had a chance to get the family's reaction to that?
Well, let me ask you, Dave, have you heard about MSNBC today called out they apparently had a freelance producer who is accused of following the jury van? Have you gotten a chance to talk to Kyle's family? Do they have a reaction to that?
Obviously, that makes everybody really nervous, but I'll just sort of, I guess I'll parrot what the judge said. That needs to be investigated thoroughly because that is a major, major deal. If a media organization was following the jury bus, for what purposes? But I don't want to weigh in on that because I think those facts still need to come out, right? So.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Thanks.
Tomorrow, day 4 of deliberations. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
You heard his answer there, Nichole. Certainly interesting that report about the MSNBC freelance producer. I mean, sort of journalism 101. We all know you stay far, far away from the jurors in any sort of trial.
All right, Brian Entin reporting live for us. We appreciate your great work as always. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.